Even though he's on a current losing streak, Tony "El Cucuy" Ferguson is known for possessing one of the most epic and most exciting UFC win streaks of all time. What makes it even greater is that he did it in a weight class that is packed with the most scariest trained assassins in the world, the lightweight division. His reign of terror lasted for years, thanks to a viciously unorthodox striking skill set.
How heavy his arms are now. He's exhausted. And, he's... Oh, my goodness!
For the honor of becoming the Ultimate Fighter, big shot.
That's it. Oh, my goodness! Hit it! It's all over!
A legendary 10-planet Brazilian jiu-jitsu game.
Banana. Starting to square there and tap. Tony Ferguson!
It's better if the arm is across. He's tapping! That's it!
And some of the weirdest training methods. With his upcoming fight against the new UFC cash cow, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, it's time to revive 10 of his best and most exciting finishes. Number 10. David Gardner. We'll kick things off with one of Tony Ferguson's pre-UFC fights, which came against David Gardner in 2010. Seconds into the fight, Ferguson rattles David with a tight left hook and forces him to panic wrestle. For the next few seconds, Gardner holds on to the devil for his dear life. However, he can't stop Ferguson from ending up on top. Once the fight returns to the feet, Ferguson drops Gardner with a ballistic flurry. Gardner once again has to hold on to Ferguson for his dear life to survive the round. For the second round, Herb Dean says let's go, and Ferguson continues punishing Gardner, this time with some nasty fists to the ribcage. And then comes the final sequence of the fight, which puts poor little Gardner out of his misery. Number 9. Ramsey Nijm. A year later, Ferguson entered The Ultimate Fighter, and after securing 3 straight wins in the qualifying rounds, he booked a place in the welterweight tournament final against Ramsey Nijm. Ferguson was oozing with confidence heading into the fight.
I'm gonna scare him. That's why I'm calling Cucuy.
The fight starts, and Nijm comes out swinging, but he's quickly driven to the mat.
And gets the takedown.
They return to their feet, and the two continue to trade heavy leather.
Good lead left. Right hand by
Nijm is the more aggressive of the two.
Ramsey with a flurry of punches.
But Ferguson lands the cleanest strike of the night. And just like that, Tony writes his name in the history books by winning The Ultimate Fighter 13th edition. Number 8. Mike Rio. Ferguson eventually made his UFC debut and went 2-1 in his first 3 fights, before facing Mike Rio at UFC 166 in 2013. Knowing how devastating Ferguson was on the feet, Rio goes for a takedown early, but no success for him.
Oh, caught him with the left hook. Looking to get that takedown is Rio. Very
Once they return to the center, Ferguson connects Rio with a right, followed by a 1-2.
Ferguson, a little bit of blood coming.
Forcing another takedown, which Tony defends. Ferguson then cracks Rio with a sharp left hook. Rio's forced to shoot, but in the process exposes his neck to a jiu-jitsu specialist. And guess what submission he gets strangled with? Yeah, you guessed correctly. Tony executes him with a beautiful D'Arce choke. This win against Rio would mark the beginning of one of the most exciting and epic winning streaks in UFC history. Number 7. Katsunori Kakuno. Next, Ferguson doubles the chaos by taking on Katsunori Kakuno in his very next fight. Kakuno goes off to a flying start as he countered Ferguson at will.
Stance, very, very unusual. The way he fights.
And El Cucuy.
Almost like he's...
The Japanese times his shots to perfection.
Look at that left hand he just landed. And again, Tony Ferguson is getting tagged here. He's got
until Ferguson starts finding the mark as well.
That style may leave some openings.
You out for sure. He's very, very powerful, but he's there to be it. And there you see it. Blocking punches.
As Ferguson smells the blood, he walks his opponent down like the demon he is, looking to collect another soul. He even attempts one of his fancy jiu-jitsu moves. The finish comes late in the 4th minute with a big right hand. After adding this beautiful finish to his record, Tony goes against somebody that really puts him in trouble and almost gets finished. Hey, but before we continue, do me a favor and hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our future videos. Number 6. Abel Trill. This is a typical Ferguson bout where he had a tough start. He gets dropped early.
Slammed him right into the fence. Abel.
He's the second best in most of the striking exchanges.
Tagged him again. Well, actually boosted him. Oh, he tagged him again with
And even has to deal with a bit of ground and pound.
Armbar and Abel just dropping bombs on him.
Ground and pound for Trujillo.
Abel puts everything in.
But he survives a hellish first 3 minutes, and towards the end of the round, he starts to pick Trujillo apart.
That one checked.
In the second round, Trujillo is visibly tired, and against a cardio freak like Ferguson, that's really bad news. Tony then proceeds to soften Trujillo up. Now, El Kakoi proceeds to take the soul of a battered and defeated Trujillo.
It's it.
Number 5, Glacon Tau. Less than 3 months later, Ferguson fought Brazilian powerhouse Glacon Tau. Both fighters were confident heading into the fight.
I'm gonna have better technique.
Para quebrar essa sequência que ele tá vindo de vitória.
Early on, Ferguson drills his opponent with low kicks.
Very good at mixing things up.
Good kick, inside leg kick. T-bow.
Then he catches a kick and brings Tau down and adds some ground and pound.
Tony, winner of 7 of his last 8 UFC fights, 5 by knockout.
As soon as they get up, the two swing trying to take each other's head, but Ferguson gets the best of it with a right short hook. Tau, hurt and desperate, telegraphs a takedown that even my grandma could see from a mile away. Tony then proceeds to take the back and strangles his victim.
Can he get it right
Got
here?
his neck. This is it. Grayson's done. He's
It
done.
is
That's
all
it.
over! Tony Ferguson!
Ferguson's next fight against another Brazilian would mark one of his bloodiest and most exciting performances. Do you know who it is? Number 4, Edson Boza. Ferguson's glorious run against Brazilians continued against Edson Boza in an absolute barnbuster. Ferguson starts the fight in 5th gear, walking Boza down like a demon he is. It was a nice little strategy to stay away from Boza's kicking range, but Ferguson still eats a few counters. In the second minute, Ferguson gets deducted a point for an illegal up kick.
It would be, and he is. To judgment, he's taking a point away. Gotta do it.
Once the fight resumes, a chaotic brawl ensues.
But he eats a right hand from Ferguson.
The second round turns into a bloody affair when Ferguson slices Boza with a sharp elbow. That marks the beginning of the end for the Brazilian as Ferguson smells the blood and keeps walking Boza down. Boza wants no more of El Kakoi hands and shoots for a takedown and gets reversed. From there, Tony sees an opening for his favorite submission and doesn't hesitate on taking it. Boza's face is a testament that indeed he was in a fight with the boogeyman himself. That night, Ferguson bagged an extra $100,000 on bonuses for this bloody performance. Number 3, Lando Vata. El Kakoi was supposed to face Michael Chiesa in his next fight, but after the Maverick pulled out, promotional newcomer Lando Vata came in as a short-notice replacement. Despite the difference in class and experience between the two, Vata was the least bit bothered by El Kakoi's stature, and he came in looking for a knockout. Vata gets Ferguson's attention with a spinning back kick and a solid right hand, followed by a strike to Ferguson's family jewels. Once Ferguson recovers, he drops Vata with a jab, but the debutant returns the favor seconds later with a spinning back fist. Vata then drops Ferguson with a massive head kick that makes him look like my drunk uncle at the family reunion. But he manages to stay alive. And in the second round, he hits Vata with quick combos to turn the tide in his favor. Vata seems hurt and tries to close the distance, but he gets locked in a guillotine, which ultimately turns into Tony's favorite submission and gets his soul taken by the boogeyman. Tony's next victim in our list gets beat so badly that he just simply quits in the middle of the fight. Let's find out who that is. Number 2, Anthony Pettis. At the number 2 spot, Ferguson takes on one of the most well-respected fighters in the division and a former champion, Anthony Pettis, in a showdown for the ages. Tony was coming from a catastrophic knee injury that required surgery just 6 months prior to this bout. Pettis, well aware of it, doesn't hesitate on attacking the fresh wound. Ferguson couldn't care less and returns fire with the same leg. Halfway through the round, Pettis throws a fancy spinning back fist that Ferguson manages to block. Tony, faithful to his style, keeps putting the pressure on Pettis and starts finding success.
but he looks fine.
Yeah, nice.
He closes the round strong with a Superman punch and a good combination. The second round brings the usual Ferguson drama as a couple of clean right hands from Pettis drops him twice. Despite being tagged, Ferguson managed to slide an elbow on counters, which opened a huge cut over Pettis' eye and momentarily halts the action. The fight resumes, and Ferguson presses the action with beautiful elbows. Even though Pettis is a bloody mess, he's still in the fight. But Tony just keeps going at him and finishes the round strong.
Final seconds of the round. Pettis covers up. Mixed martial arts.
A battered and bloodied Pettis goes back to the stool with a broken hand and a broken spirit. Can't take any more punishment and quits. This fight would mark one of the best performances by Tony Ferguson, in my opinion. What do you think? Number 1. Kevin Lee. Ferguson's win against Pettis was certainly one of the most impressive ones of his career, but the biggest win of his career came against Kevin Lee in that interim UFC lightweight title fight in 2017. Ferguson was a sizable favorite heading into the fight, but Lee saw holes in his game. Lee draws first blood with a flash knockdown. Ferguson returns the favor right after, but Lee ends the round strong on top with good ground and pound.
Big elbows. High mounts here for Kevin. Tony's in a lot of trouble.
Ferguson has a far better second round and starts getting his rhythm going. He lands a body kick followed by a crisp combination. A couple of stiff jabs. A sprawl that'd make a cat jealous. And a nasty step-in slashing elbow. Round 3 starts and Lee starts to look tired, but gets a nice double leg takedown. Tony manages to get up, but Lee brings him down again. This time, Tony threatens the arm, but Lee manages to escape.
He's gonna break his arm. Oh, look at that!
Shortly after, Tony wraps Lee in a triangle, and this time, there's no escape from El Cucuy. With this finish, Tony Ferguson claims the interim lightweight championship belt to solidify himself as one of the best fighters to ever walk the face of the earth. Final thoughts. With a current losing streak on his back, the upcoming UFC 296 event gives El Cucuy what could be his last chance to revindicate himself against the new UFC cash cow, Paddy Pimblett. How do you see this fight going? Does Ferguson get back in the win column, or does Paddy the Baddy put the last nail in the coffin for Tony? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our videos. Last but not least, remember to protect yourself at all times.